Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, featuring industry thought leaders sharing problem-solving insights to help grow your business and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stuart Andrew Alexander.
Hi everyone, this is Stuart Andrew Alexander back again with another show. And today's exciting guest is the author of several successful books, and I'm sure we're going to get a chance to hear about those later on. He's also a motivational strategist, an accountability coach, and consultant. He provides speaking, training, coaching, and strategic consulting programs to workforce development organizations, businesses, and associations worldwide, and holds a CSP designation from the National Speakers Association and the Global Federation of Speakers. Furthermore, he has worked with corporations such as Walmart and Verizon, as well as countless non-profit organizations, schools, school districts, colleges, and universities, and is here today to talk with us about some of the problems, obstacles, and misconceptions preventing organizations from achieving their goals and objectives, and how he helps them by building core values-based dream teams. I'm absolutely chomping at the bit and so excited. Can't wait to bring him on. Happily married for 21 years, father of 4 amazing children, and commonly known as America's passion coach. Please welcome to the show, Daryl Coach D. Andrews. Hi, Daryl. Welcome to the show. Are you there?
I am here, sir. Yes. How are you today?
I am on top of the world and so excited to have you on the show. I've been watching you, researching, and we've managed to find some time to get you on the show.
Yes.
I know how busy you are, so yes, we're very excited, very excited.
Yes, well, I love and enjoy doing these interviews, and, it's always my hope, Stuart, that I, share information that not only we, you hear a lot of people talk about motivational, but relevant, to the listener, that they can apply, be it in business, career, life, across the board. So, again, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And, it's actually quite good that you just mentioned the listener, because the show is all about helping listeners. So, with that said, would you just like to briefly share with us, who is your perfect prospect, so to speak, or who is it that you help?
Yes. It's interesting. The perfect prospect for me, that's a difficult question, because I work in so many marketplaces. The focus, the methodology may be different, varying based upon marketplace, but the ideology, the concept, and what we're trying to accomplish is the same. I like to work with organizations, be it businesses, nonprofits, colleges, campuses, universities across the board, who are looking to create organizational synergy by creating and developing organizational, what I call dream teams. The workplace, to me, should be a place that people are coming together and working together towards a common goal. But unfortunately, you don't see that a lot. You have a lot of times individuals who are coming into the workplace going for personal agendas, or there may be some kind of discord in the workplace. And so, we a lot of times preach customer service, but we don't also think about the internal customer. That's what we work with every day. So I'm looking to help those companies and organizations who say that this is important, is going to help with productivity, to pull those teams together, to put them on the same page. I'm not saying that they're going to be singing and dancing together all day long, but they're going to work together in a unified fashion to achieve an outcome. That's where I have my fun, and believe me, I enjoy doing this work. Seeing the outcome of that, bringing those teams together.
Excellent. Well, if your energy that you bring in your videos online is anything on how you work with these companies, and I'm sure you have a lot of satisfied customers out there in this industry.
Yes, sir. We do, and I take great pride in that. I tell people all the time, It's not about what I've accomplished, but it's what others can accomplish as a result of my work. So I like to see the end result.
There you go. Spoken like a true educator and advocate. Love that. So having said that then, Daryl, what are some of the common obstacles that are actually preventing those organizations from achieving their desired outcome of building team synergy, as you mentioned before? What are some of those common obstacles that you've come across in the past?
It's really interesting and a great question. You mentioned earlier that I work with Walmart Corporation, and I remember having a conversation with the then president when I was working with Mike Duke. And I asked him, I said, Mr. Duke, what's your greatest challenge? You have millions of employees. You have teams, really all over the world. And when I spoke to them, I literally spoke to all the teams worldwide. And he kind of had a list of different things. And I said, one of the greatest challenges I think you face is the same challenge everyone else faces. And that is, in the workplace, you have literally, like a company like yours, like a Walmart, you have millions of people, but it could be a smaller business with 20 people, 10 people. You have multiple people walking into a workplace every day with a different life perception. The way that they interact with people, the way they've been taught through their own experiences to communicate, all these different things. And so the question becomes, how do you get all these individuals, despite their different viewpoints, despite their different backgrounds, their life experiences, to come together around a common goal and work towards that? I said, the great leader, that's really, to me, the mark of a great leader, the ability to do that. And most people, realistically, in their hiring practices and everything else, don't even really think about this. They look at certain skill sets that people have, talents. The number one question should really be in an interview is their ability to work in a team. How do you work in a team? How do you help advance the cause of this organization from a collective perspective? So that whole varying paradigm mindset thing is a challenge, because if I'm trying to achieve a goal and I have an organizational objective, but I have people going in 20 different directions, that's a challenge. That's a big challenge that many companies face worldwide, in schools and school districts and colleges as well. So that's one that I see. The other challenge is just leadership itself. I used to work for a company years ago by the name of Abbott Laboratories, and Abbott's a big healthcare company in the United States, and one of the large, I think they're a Fortune 50 company. And, they would promote people within their company that based upon certain skill sets. So if I'm a top-rated salesperson, let's say, then they move me to sales manager. But what they don't realize is being a top-rated salesperson does not necessarily equate to being a top-rated sales manager.
Right. That makes sense.
So, right. Yeah. So now this person who was a great salesperson is flopping at manager. So a lot of it is just leadership and leadership development, not taking that person as a top-rated salesperson and put them into management, but to take that person and train them to be an effective manager before you actually take and put them in that position. Help them, equip them with the skill sets, because you have a lot of leaders who really know how to effectively lead, and it hurts team continuity. And it's kind of like from a sports perspective, taking a person and put them in coach, but they don't know how to coach a team. They don't know how to pull the best off their players. Well, what happens to that team? Every year they struggle to win. But you take and put a good coach in that in there, and what happens? Automatically, that team turns around and becomes successful. So that same mindset is needed in companies. And Corey, that's why I like to use sports teams a lot when I train and work with people too, because there's commonalities, man, when you think about it. So that's another hindrance, there's leadership. And then lastly, it's just what I call a dearth of core values. Do the people within my company or organization know what we value as a company? And not only do they know it, are they being trained to it? Are they being, is the company or organization itself establishing, what do you call it? When you look at some type of analysis of how we're doing organizationally based upon these core values. I always believe that core values should drive every organization, because it tells the people who we are. And not only does it tell the people internally, it shows the people externally, because we live it. So, for instance, when I worked at Walmart, I was there actually training on what they call one of their core values, which is striving for excellence. So not only do they train on striving for excellence, they measure how they operate organizationally based upon striving for excellence, how they interact with their customers based on striving for excellence. So a company lacking core values is a company that's destined for serious problems because people don't have any idea of who we are. The core values help to define them. So I see those as three key challenges.
So the core values then, in other words, is it a tantamount to a ship at sea without a rudder?
One of my favorite people in the world, Dr. Miles Monroe, used to say that. Share that exact same quote. And you're right. Yes, absolutely. It's like any wind can blow that ship in any direction. And that's a great analogy because you think about it, companies are like that. They're these big entities, many of them, but they're like a ship without a rudder. And so guess what happens? A wave comes and, man, that thing is going in a totally different direction. But the core values are the anchor. It keeps that ship stable, even during the windy times, so that, guess what? Even if it blows one way, that anchor is not going to let it go away. You're staying in that spot, which is good because it tells the people that this is what we represent. Now, let me clarify. That doesn't mean that we don't look at our companies or organizations and adjust and make changes with the times and things like that. I'm not saying that, but it talks a lot about how we interact and with ourselves internally, the way we work every day, and the people we serve, how we're going to serve them.
Right. So, am I correct in thinking that these core values that you install, that you help these companies to install and become part of the very fabric of their makeup?
Absolutely.
Are these core values, are they also transferable to individuals within the company?
Absolutely.
Or is it more of like a holistic approach that you're looking at the whole company and looking to embed these core values on that level?
Yeah, it's a really more of a leadership understanding that translates to the team. So what I mean is this. I'll give you an example. I'll give an example of a company I work with. I work with a company, I won't mention their name, but they went from like $0 to $1 billion in 6 years. I mean, it was just rapid growth for them.
Wow.
And they were excited.
Any shares available?
I wish I would have known about it. I would have purchased one myself. You know, but yeah, man. But the thing is, they grew by, I always say they expanded and grew by grinding. They got in there, they worked hard, they pushed the sales team, management pushed themselves, they put a lot of hours into it, and realistically they achieved their goals. They knew they want to grow. They knew they went from a sales team of like 20 to a sales team of like 400, I don't know, so many people. So it happened fast, but something happened around year 5, and that's when I got called in. They were growing, but internally they were melting down. It was a lot of strife. It was a lot of frustration. It was a lot of the people in the field not knowing what they're doing. It was a lot of the regional managers trying to find their way. So they grew, but they didn't have a foundation. So I had to take the entire management team away for 2 days. And we had to go through an introspective process of looking at organizational mission and organizational core values. Because the meltdown that I based upon my original assessment was that they grew fast because they had to hustle, and which it's just the way it is in business. You hustle, you find a way to get your venture capital, you do what you got to do, but you forget there's the one thing, the most important thing. There's that people element. You gotta have people do the job.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can get the venture capital, you can get whatever, but if you don't work with the people in, eventually it's going to implode. So. After spending a few days, we went through them, we helped them really create, they really didn't even have a mission. And they certainly didn't have core values. But what was nice is not just corporate leadership, but also field level leadership was there. So they were able to comprehensively work together, which is powerful. And so by the end of those 2 days, they had a solid organizational mission. They also had a solid set of 3, I don't think it should be any more than 3 to 4 max core values. And this is what I want to share this to show how it works. They went back to their organization, spent another day or so processing it. I got a call from one of their directors and said they've immediately noticed a change in how this organization is operating. They immediately noticed a change in how we're communicating with each other. Then they shared it with their sales team at their national sales meeting about a month later, and the sales team will give them a standing ovation. They were so excited about having this in place because they said we felt like we didn't know where we were going. And we didn't know who we are. So, some companies understand it, some organizations. It's just, and I'm saying companies, it could be schools and school districts. It doesn't matter. But once you have it, you're bringing together a level of organizational synergy that makes it and not only exciting to pursue the goal of the organization, but individually, it makes me a better person because I can learn and grow from the process as well. So the company and the organization has it, but it does have to take ownership. Does have to come from individuals throughout the organization, and that's a process within itself as well.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. This interview is about our listeners, right? They're first and foremost, and you've kind of, in a way, answer the next question that I have for you, but let me just ask you something more of a personal question, Daryl. Mm-hmm. When you go into a company and you walk away after a certain amount of time with those kinds of results that you have just explained, mm-hmm. Again, the show is about the listeners, but how does that make you feel?
Yeah, let me tell you something. It's like, to me, it's an emotional high that you can't even put words to. Mm. And the best way to describe it is like an artist finishing a beautiful piece of artwork. Right. You sit back and you look and you say, "Wow, look at this beautiful outcome of an effort." And the beauty of it is you realize that you're not the rock star in this whole thing. They are. They were able to put aside differences. They were able to put aside, ideologies. They were, and really to come together and synergize and fuse together around a common goal. And you start saying, wow, I'm excited about this, but I'm excited about these individuals who are willing to change for the betterment of the good of the whole. So it's like an athlete winning a contest or, winning the Super Bowl. You're like, man, it was accomplished. We worked hard, but we did it. And here's the outcomes. And let me tell you, I'll say this, and I'll be done with this little part here. Sure. I love when I get those phone calls, and someone says, "You know what? Not only is my company changed, my life has changed."
There you go.
I'm a better parent. I'm going to be a better. I need to go home and put values in my own home and the way I interact with my children. And that's the beautiful byproduct of it right there. It's like, wow, that's what we really, that's hitting home right there.
Dare I say it's even better than sex? Oh.
Well, let's not go too far, but
I did not go there on air. Oh my God.
We got to put limits on this,
Moving swiftly on. Like I said, you kind of touched on the answer already to the next question, but I've got to ask it on behalf of the listeners out there. Mm-hmm. You've proven already, you've just given an excellent case study of why people actually choose Daryl, or why do they become your customer. But in your own words, really briefly, what is it about you? What's your magic ability and why people end up becoming your customer?
I'll use a scenario if I can, just to kind of explain that the best I can. It will be brief. I remember speaking for an association called, I will get the name of this, the North Carolina Association of Financial Advisors. And I was the keynote speaker at the conference. And I was down there talking about passion and work and passion and sales and all these different things. But after the speech, I had a lineup of people come up to me, and they didn't want to talk about passion and work. They want to talk about passion and family and passion and personally and things like that. And some of them actually, and these were some grown men, had tears in their eyes. It was really interesting. But one guy said something to me that just really made it that hit home as to what this is really all about. He looked me in the eye and he said, I've heard thousands of speakers. I've seen hundreds of people. He said, but I have never seen someone so sincere in their work. You care about this work. You care about the people you're working with, the individuals you're impacting. He said, this is not, he said, like in the speaking field, the people that are speaking gigs and all these. He said, it's not a gig to you. This is personal. And I looked at him, I said, you know what? I don't think I've ever heard it said any better. I said, you're right. this is personal. I was born and raised in poverty in the city of Syracuse, single mother, father left home when I was a kid. And my life was changed and shifted by good people who cared about me, who were willing to pour into me and give me a sense of hope for my own life, And I said, I want to use my life in the manner that I can make a difference, just like other people made a difference in mine. So I don't take for granted that a corporate CEO can use motivation on a personal level, because I've seen that happen. I don't take for granted that person sitting in that audience doing the consulting or training, was not going to benefit beyond just what I'm trying to communicate as far as what they need to do at work. So for me, it's not work, it's mission. I love what I do.
Awesome. Perfect. And I can tell that's coming from a sincere place. It's not just
yes, sir.
Real that you're spewing out there. Thank you so much for being so genuine. So we've spoken about building team synergy. Yes. So let's imagine there are some, CEOs out there, the people that you love, they have a passion around helping, the people that you can help the most, and they're listening to you right now. However, in the back of their mind, they've got these niggling questions, there are these popular misconceptions that exist in every industry. Please share with us 2 or 3 popular misconceptions about the service that you provide, Daryl, and just if you could just share that with us, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Now, you said misconceptions about the service I provide?
Yeah.
You just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Exactly. Okay, in your day-to-day work, and you're out there in the field, and you're speaking with companies, you're speaking with prospects, speaking with clients, right. And some of them have these misconceptions about what it is.
Okay, I got you. Okay, perfect.
You do, like common misconceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, but the first misconception I'd like to mention is that, and this is just because of, not because of them, but because of the nature of this industry, that I personally, with my work, I'm not just a motivational speaker. I'm a motivational strategist. Right. People who project energy, a lot of times they put them in the category of put them on the stage, get everybody fired up, and you go home. I have a saying that I use, and I think you'll like this. Now, if you use it, you got to give me credit because it's a powerful statement, but it's the truth. And that is, motivation without information is simply a good conversation. It really is.
I love that.
It's a good conversation. What am I going to do with this? You got to have strategy. Motivation is the fuel. Strategy is the car. You need both to move. So the first misconception is that this guy is just a motivational guy. He's going to come in, get us fired up, and go home. I don't do that. I do some, don't get me wrong, I get invited to do motivational keynote speeches and all of that. But my work is steeped in strategy. I want to move people somewhere, from where you are to where you're trying to get to. Now, I do it in a motivational way. It's interesting. The former lieutenant governor of our state, that's what he used to always say about me. He said, you give great information in a motivational kind of way. And that's really what it's all about. I said, but they both work hand in hand, because if I'm working with your staff, let's say, I got to get them to a level that they're feeling what we're trying to do, but then we got to give them the tools. So that's the first major misconception. Another one too is not just me, but in the end, a lot of times people wonder, is there view, and just do I need to make this kind of investment? Or a lot of times they'll say, oh, well, I'll just go get one of my training managers or training people to do it. One thing I always say is, I'm a father, and this is going to seem strange, but I think it's important for a person. And as a father, don't get me, I have great children. I do have four of the most amazing kids you ever want to see. But sometimes my kids don't always hear things when I say it. Especially in the teenage years. My teenagers. But then I have a good friend that would say it to them and they get it. You see what I'm saying? Why? It's because there's a relationship they have with that person that's totally different than the relationship they have with them. They see me all the time. I'm dad, and they know I have their best interest at heart. So sometimes people think that as a consultant, I can get somebody else to do it within my organization. Sometimes it's good to have that outside voice. Sure. That non-biased person who's going to come and analyze the situation and give you a non-biased answer. And then also, people may have a greater tendency to want to hear what I have to say because of that. So, there's others, but I think those two kind of hit it in. You gotta have the strategy, and you gotta also realize sometimes you need to have a different perspective to change the situation.
I understand. Are there any other misconceptions out there that you come across?
Not really. I have great relationships with my customers. Not really. I would say one, and this is, I hope people don't take this the wrong way, but when I first started, I don't see it as much now. There was this kind of misconception because I'm a man of color.
Right.
That the extent of my work is limited to people of color. Right. They're the ones who primarily would benefit the most from my services. People have since found out that's not the case. It's across the spectrum, demographically. But that used to be a little funny one. It wasn't funny when I first started, but I can look back and laugh on it now because sometimes I believe I lost business because people thought that.
You've spoken across the globe, right?
Yeah, now I'm all over the globe.
Right.
But back then in the early stages, people had their thoughts and all of that.
Yeah.
But so yeah. But overall, it's really good, man. I have great relationships and rapport. When I worked in corporate America, in sales and marketing and all that, rapport was my value proposition. And I was one of the top sales reps in the world for Abbott because I had great customer rapport. And I just take that same mindset over to what I do today.
Yeah. Something what I said, Daryl, is value does not have any color.
That's right, man. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Moving on. So, why don't the people that you help, why don't they buy from you, Daryl? What are the reasons that they, you're consulting them and you're ticking all the boxes and this person needs you. They turn around at the last moment and say, something, Daryl, what are those reasons? Let's knock some of those on the head because there may be valid reasons in your prospect's eyes or the people who are listening now. However, I'm sure they don't come without consequences. So let's have a chat about some of those.
Well, I say this, and I don't want to seem like I'm being somewhat arrogant in saying this, but when I'm not a cheap consultant. I'm not going to break your bank, but I'm not going to come in there for peanuts. I mean, that's just, I'm being honest with people. I said because
there's nothing arrogant about that, Darren.
No, absolutely.
And I'm sure the value that you deliver, that your prospects, your clients, the people that you help are going to get far more than what they have to invest. You are not a cost, right? You are an investment. So please. Yeah,
absolutely. So I just, for me, it's important for people. I put a lot of times, I've been with some of the largest organizations in the world. And, even not just to say that, but even mid-sized and smaller ones. But the thing is, value has to be looked at based upon what are some of the outcomes, And so, for instance, let's say if I'm a company, I'm trying to build team continuity so that we can increase our sales maybe by, $100 million. So say there's a sales connection. What's the investment that you're willing to make to get that kind of increase? It's the way you look at it. What do you see the value in? Or if it's just that I want to have organizational harmony, I want people to walk into the workplace to a place in which they enjoy, they value working here. They find that they don't say thank God it's Friday, they say thank God it's Monday. I know that's stretching it a little bit, but, but a little bit of joy in what I do because workplace frustration is at an all-time high right now. If you look at the Conference Board and their research. So they have to see the overall value to realize that it takes value to get value. So I tell people that's one of the challenges we face. Another thing too is just a lot of times people get caught up in the grind. I'm going to accomplish this goal. I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to grind. So they don't take the time to get up and breathe and realize they need help. Just like this company I shared with you before, that was their challenge. Here they are, growing, grinding, but then internally they're imploding. They're losing employees. People are frustrated. And these people made good money. I mean, they had great salaries. They had great perks. So when people start walking away from stuff like that, something's wrong. People just typically don't walk away from high six-figure incomes with stock options, So what is it that's causing that? So when you take a moment to pull away from the grind and start assessing the true needs of the organization, then you can see the value of bringing someone in to stabilize everything and put us on the right track. So again, just fees, grind, there's, not many others, but those are two big ones that I see.
Right. Just getting caught up in their own business, right? In
their own business. And that's not a problem. And I hate to say this, but it's the truth. The one sign of that is those people are typically stressed out all the time. I tell people all the work should be part hard and part fun. There has to be some joy in it. When the joy leaves, what am I doing this for? What am I doing? I mean, obviously we all have to make a living. We all have to, enjoy. Have to pay the bills, but there has to be a level of enjoyment. I'll say this real quick, and I can go on and on about this. I love being a father, and I have a son that's 17, and he wants to be an animator and a filmmaker.
Yes, I saw the video.
Yeah. He wants to be an animator and a filmmaker. He's really good too. He was just recently at
I wanted to hug that boy, man. So proud.
He's a good kid. Yeah, thank you. He's a
goodness. Anyway,
great kid, man. Well, I'm truly honored as a father to have these chose easy around here for me as a father. But he was invited as one of the top 100 upcoming artists and animators to go to one of the top schools in the country this summer to spend a month just learning from the best in the world, because their professors are the best, teaching them. And so they all selected 100 students, and he was selected. But to make a long story short, they were up early, man. They get up at 7:30 in the morning, and they went back in their dorm rooms till 11 at night. But they were in the studio. They were, looking at their artwork. They were creating things. But if you were to walk into that environment, you saw people alive, man. They loved it, man. They were enjoying themselves, This was like, they were tired, hardly getting any sleep, but they loved it. Yeah. And I said, that has to be some level of that in the workplace. There has to be, because if it's just frustration, if it's just angst, if it's all about just grinding it out for the goals, we all go home with a big paycheck, but then our families fall apart. Life is miserable. Divorce rates are high. So I try to get people to get the balance too, man. To get look at the bigger picture in life. Because, today, my wife and children and I are going camping. We're going to sit up there and go fishing and sit in a tent and look at the stars. We got to see both sides of life. You can't just, be one-sided.
I guess there's a huge difference between being busy and being productive, and I think therein lies a huge problem. It's like a lot of people are fooling themselves. As long as I'm busy, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm working from 9 till 6 in the evening. How many hours in the day? But oh man, that was a busy day. But actually, what did you actually produce?
Nothing. A lot of times. You just have a lot of frustration.
Income generating, revenue generating, or whatever the most important things are.
Absolutely.
Anyways, that's great. I'm glad you touched on that.
Yes, sir.
Daryl, books, movies, people, have any of those inspired you to lead up to where you are today? So in other words, just briefly share a little bit about your backstory. What led you to this field that, where you are right now, so the listeners get a chance to get a little bit more about.
Yeah. There's two people that influenced my life, I think, significantly. I mean, there's actually more. I mean, I could say my mother, who's, single mom who raised 2 boys with everything she had to end up where I am today, and she's just still to this day one of the centers of my joy. So she's an amazing woman. But on a professional level, there's 2 people, literally 2 people. One is Zig Ziglar. When I worked at Abbott, Abbott had what's called a lending library, and you could get these tapes and pop them in your car as you're driving around, working with your customers.
Oh yeah,
and
I remember that.
And so I must have listened to a million Zig Ziglar just over and over, so much to the point I think I knew most of his speeches better than he did. But I remember saying to myself, the impact that man is having on people, I want to have on people. I said, this is just something special. And I had a chance to meet my hero one year at the National Speakers Association conference, and it was just amazing to connect with him. And until his death a few years ago, we kind of had a little connection going as well. So that he was one of the primary reasons. Another one is a gentleman by the name, we recently lost him too, named Dr. Miles Monroe. He's out of the Bahamas. He's a prolific author. He's just an amazing person. And Miles Zig was the power and the motivation. Miles was the strategy. I mean, he was one of the most amazing strategists. I mean, this guy was invited in to help governments and nations and countries create systems to, improve their outcomes. But he was an amazing strategist. And he's another one I could just put on his CDs and just listen hours and hours. So it was almost like a confluence of those two individuals that led to me where I am today. That's where hence it's funny, look at the title, Motivational Strategist. It comes from the motivational piece that Zig gave me and the strategy piece that Miles placed in my life.
Love it. So you grew up walking in the footsteps of great men and great women,
yes.
Right?
And great women, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Great men and great women. And they just, these are people who you knew from afar, some you knew up close. And these people poured into your life, man. They just... but I always tell people you got to be open to be poured into. You got to be willing to receive. And each of these individuals I mentioned to you, I met personally, and we had a chance to interact. And just what we saw on, CD, DVD, and tape, they were that in person. So they lived what they taught, and that meant more to me than anything. Yeah.
I just want to make a point of because you mentioned Zig Ziglar and you mentioned Dr. Miles Monroe, and you briefly mentioned your mother, and I really just want to make a point of just how important women are in our lives, to the world, to society. Can you just share, and I know you're completely not prepared for this, I'm putting you on the spot, share a moment, a pivotal moment in your life where your mother had some kind of influence that is panning out in your life today and everything what you do today. Can you share something like that?
Yeah, I mean, wow, a pivotal moment with my mother. It's not that I don't have any. It's just that I'm thinking about which one. I think it was which one. Let me give you one. This is gonna tell people a little bit about me when I was a kid, because I had a lot of stuff around me.
One rule cannot involve a whooping.
Oh no. Well, that right there would just eliminate just about half of them. But anyway.
Those are too many pivotal moments. We
won't go with the whipping, but I will go with this. I remember I was really influenced negatively when I was around 12 years old. There was this older guy in my neighborhood who was kind of like popular in the neighborhood, and all the kids kind of looked up to him because he had a little bit of an edge on him, but he was really a negative influence. So I was influenced by him as well, and he taught me how to do some stuff I should have been doing, and that was as a kid stealing. We didn't have much. Sometimes we would want things. You'd go out and they would go, nothing major, like not stealing cars or anything like that, but something if you want a piece of clothes or something, they would go do that, or just things like that. So I was a kid, 12 years old. There's these little toys that I liked because I used to run these little racetrack cars, and my mom could never afford to get them for just one little toy car. So he encouraged me to go and taught me how to take the car. So I did, But the funny thing is, when we were at the location, the store that we were in doing this, he's standing there with me. He takes off, and I'm standing there like, why is he running? I had no idea. Then somebody grabs me, and I get caught. He runs. He's gone. I'm there caught. I happened to at work, which was one of the scariest things I've ever had to do in my life, and she had to come get me from this store. So she came and got me from the store, and you can see the look. She had that mom look on her face, and I said, "This is going to be rough."
Uh-oh.
This is going to be rough. And so I thought that it was going to be the worst thing that happened to me in my entire life. I was begging and pleading her for mercy, and she didn't say anything to me for a day. She took me home. She didn't say anything. And the next day, we got up and she looked at me. She said, "Let me tell you something. When I look in your eyes, I see greatness. I see a young man that can use his life in such a way that you can literally impact the world in which we live, son. That's why I'm so supportive and encouraging of you." She said, "But you can't allow people to take you down the wrong path. And you have to look me in the eye." She said, "Look me in the eye and promise me from this day forward that I can trust you to make the right decisions." And I looked at her and I was with tears in my eyes because I knew my mom loved me and I hated doing that to her. And I said, "Mom, you can trust me." And from that day forward, nothing like that ever happened again. She had the opportunity to tear me down, But you know what she did? She built me up.
Build you up. Exactly.
She built me up.
And the responsibilities we have as adults to young people, it's just, I can't even find the words, but I'd say my family's from Jamaica, and in Jamaica we'd say, yo, big up, man, big up your mom. Big up
we need the kids, and if you look at my profile, man, I'm all into working with the kids. I do a lot of youth type of things, and they just need it, man. A lot of problems we're facing today is a byproduct of empty children. They don't know, and they've been so overly stimulated by things that are, not advance them in the right way. So we adults have an obligation and a duty to just at least pour a sense of hope into them. And I do that. Trust me, I'm doing that on a weekly basis somewhere in my work. So.
Daryl, your experience is so varied, it's so wide. We could speak for hours and hours on end. I think we're just getting warmed up here, really. But we're coming to the end of the show. So finally, if there are any businesses, schools, organizations, CEOs, individual people who are out there and listening to this show right now, and they're looking, they're trying to build organized team strategies or synergy, as you put it, in their own way. So they're looking just to improve themselves on their own personal level, whether, in relationships or at work. And they are thinking, something, this guy, Daryl, Coach D, he sounds like the kind of guy I need to know more about. I need to call him. I need to email. How are people going to find you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, if they shake a few trees, grab some leaves, and jump up and down, they'll get something. No. the old way,
Love it.
No, but if they can go to my website, which is CoachDSpeaks.com, www.CoachDSpeaks.com. And we have a lot of information on there, some video clips, things like that. They can see that. Or, of course, email me. My email is info@CoachDSpeaks.com. That's info@CoachDSpeaks.com. And I respond to my emails almost immediately because it pops up on my cell, and I try, because I don't like to keep people waiting. I know time is precious. So if I'm not doing something at that time, if I'm not in some type of consulting or whatever I'm doing, I'll make the respond. And then my office, his number is area code 302-834-1040. 302-834-1040, or they can contact me toll free at 1-866, the number 4 Coach D. 1-866, the number 4 Coach D. So there's multiple ways to get in touch, and I turn around calls fast because a lot of times my customers need to get quick responses, so I don't keep them waiting forever.
I love the fact that you make yourself available for those calls. I know a lot of coaches, they think it's wise to create distance so that they become more desirable. I absolutely love the fact that people can reach out and touch you very easily and quickly. So,
it's very much in line with who I am, as I mentioned a little earlier. I look at this as my work, this is mission. I love this, and then my goal is to help, man, because I think the more we have successful businesses, organizations, and people, the greater our world is going to become, and our nations will become. So, trying to do my part in a small way.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.